Good afternoon, everyone. Can I just request everybody to be seated, and if you could just close the doors over there so that we can get started. This is one of the very few summits that I've been to where everything is starting on time. So let's keep it that, and let's start. First of all, a round of applause to the organizers. It's been a wonderful, energizing discussion so far, and really, really well organized. Welcome to the discussion on artificial intelligence, the next frontier in digital public infrastructure. I'm Kunal Walia. I'm a partner with Dalberg Advisors, and I lead our digital and data practice globally. It's my honor to be here to moderate this panel with a very distinguished few panelists and keynote speakers that you'll be hearing from. Now, let me just start with a few facts about digital public infrastructure. In Togo, using digital ID and mobile money to deliver COVID-19 relief, transferred cash to 500,000 plus people. Our analysis says that by using DPI to expand and revamp formal justice systems, LMICs can leapfrog development trajectories by over 10 years by just providing people access to justice. The Indian government, when it implemented Aadhaar, the digital ID, was able to save approximately $33 billion between 6 years, 2014 and 2021, by reducing leakages from direct benefit transfers to its citizens. The World Bank's ID4D program aims to connect 60+ countries with ID. So the impact of digital public infrastructure is very well known. Africa has already committed to leveraging digital public infrastructure as a way to building its digital transformation journey, which essentially means providing digital services in an interoperable, in an open, in a safe and responsible manner. This approach saves costs, it leads to efficiencies, it avoids vendor lock-in, and really is a step towards achieving sovereignty in Africa's digital transformation journey. Where does AI fit into all of this? And that's what we'll be discussing right now. AI can play multiple roles over here. AI can make digital public infrastructure very efficient in the back end and safe in the back end. And it can also lead to more efficient delivery of services to citizens in local languages. And there are some interesting use cases that have already been implemented. Some are being thought through, and we'll get informed about that. The discussion will go deeper into these use cases, and keeping at the theme of the summit, we will actually be discussing concrete steps and solutions on how to take this forward. Not leave the discussion at the possibilities, but really talk about solutions. So with that, I'm going to just call upon our first speaker, who will give a spotlight talk and really set this up. Bimpe is the CEO of Irembo. Israel has been has been heading this Rwandan technology company, Irembo, which has really been leading digital transformation and service delivery in Rwanda and other parts of Africa for some time now. His leadership in driving the expansion of digital platforms, multiple digital platforms like Irembo Gov, Irembo Pay, Irembo Plus, and making really these services accessible in a very user-centric manner is very, very credible. Can I invite Israel to come in and help put this all in context?
Thank you so much, Kunal. I think I can stand on the side. Hopefully it's working. Awesome. Happy to tell you about what it is and what it is that we do at Irembo and how we are integrating AI into delivering much more value both for the citizen but also for governments that use our platform. For those of you who need the primer on Irembo, we are very well known for our first product, which is Irembo Gov, and that product is pretty much a one-stop portal or a marketplace where citizens can find all government services. They can apply, they can pay, they can kind of track the different stages through which their services are going through, and government institutions are also using the platform to provide much better access and efficient services to citizens. Today, we partner with 30 institutions. and provide over 240 services. And to give you a sense of scale, we do more than 20,000 transactions a day and help the government collect over $300,000 on a daily basis. To ensure accessibility, our platform sort of has to evolve and be very fluid and dynamic. So a citizen can apply on a web platform, they can use a mobile application, they can use a USSD application, or they can apply to over 5,000 agents or agent points across the country where they can reach someone in their community who can help them access the service. That in case they don't have a smartphone or the right level of digital capabilities to do it on their own. Now, how have we been able to integrate artificial intelligence, or what are the ways in which we are thinking about artificial intelligence across the platform and across the way in which we are creating value for citizens? The first use case is when an agent or when a citizen is applying for themselves, they offer the 240 services. It's quite hard to remember how to apply for every single services. Each has up to 50 forms to fill, different types of attachments, and so on and so forth. We traditionally had created a knowledge base that has screenshots, videos, guidelines you can go to and read before applying for a passport or a visa or a birth certificate. You can see clearly step by step. But for that knowledge base to be accessible, you have to go through multiple points to click and so on and so forth. So the first thing we did is compress that into a chatbot that agent can look at when they are applying, and eventually it will come to citizen and it can guide them through their application. And speak about the future if you want. Now that we are speaking about agentic AI, that means that chatbot can transform into an agent that actually fill out a majority or all of the form on behalf of whoever is filling it up. That's the first use case. The second use case, we have about 3,000 government officials who log into our platform to process applications. They can approve, they can reject, or they can request for actions. Most of those government officials have dashboards that show them simple data of what it is that they did that day, and maybe some more metric can get. Not each of those government officials who tend to be at a local level can know how to do analytics. They cannot download the dashboard into an Excel or CSV and then pivot the table to look at trends or to look at unique data points. But they have questions. They can ask themselves questions in their mind. And so what we are trying to do is build the chatbot for them as well, and train some models that we are using the structure of our database. In the first case I told you, the knowledge base is public on the internet, so you can just put it on an LLM and train it. The second use case, it's citizen data, so you cannot just put it on the internet or on an LLM. But you can train the LLM on the structure of your data. Now, when an officer has a question, they just type their question that will query the LLM that knows the structure of their data, of your data, and then it kind of gives you a query of how to actually search through the data, and returns that query and search locally on the data and give a nice report of you to the officer in terms of what it is that they were trying to analyze or the resources that they were looking for. The third aspect, I told you we have about 240 services. If you actually decompress that, it can go to thousands of processes that we have. And for you to digitize only one services, it's a ton of meetings, because when you are digitizing a service, there's the element of business process reengineering. So that means you are not taking the manual form and put it manually online. There is a paradigm shift that has to happen. And that's a lot of debating among Irembo, government officials, institutions, the officers who will process. You have to bring everyone to a certain agreement of how the digital paradigm will look like of a particular service. And then someone has to now hard code that into the platform. That takes time and usually creates a backlog. So we are empowering government agencies with what we are calling a studio on our platform, where they can design and publish the forms or the services on their own. But they don't need, today we are doing it with drag and drop form builder or a low code, no code for much more complex forms. But it could be even, they just upload the service requirement document from all the meetings that they conducted on which they agreed, and it gives them either a first version or completely a finished version of the service that now goes through quality assurance. And that could compress up to 8 weeks of service development into literally 24 or 48 hours if you want, and quickly get to digitize many more services across the board. That's what we are focusing on. And in the future, we think there is a lot more that we can do. I told you that we have over 3,000 government officials who log into our platform to process, approve, reject, request for action. One thing when we digitize government services, we often forget that there is a logic around what is that approval. What do you look at when you are approving? What do you look at when you are rejecting? What do you look at when you request for action? What is the right request for action to make? How will the citizen understand that? And so in the future, we think we can help government officials. If in a week you are processing 10,000 requests for a birth certificate, for example, we can recommend which ones to reject and which ones to approve. And maybe not far, we can actually do that automatically, which means you actually remove the complete friction that exists in providing certain services. I like to say that in digitizing government services, we usually want to make impact, but we build the services to catch the 1% bad actors and create so much friction and complexity for the 99% who mean well. Because every citizen, every person just want to achieve something. So how can we use artificial intelligence to create the right form of flexibility and to be able to deliver impact at scale? That's one example of what it is that we can be able to do in the future. And you can imagine this at a much more complex level where, for example, you have to issue licenses to import or export, and you can track patterns in the data. If an importer has always imported a certain amount of avocados or something like that, and suddenly it's well, then you can question. But if they've been consistent over years, you don't need to go through the full checklist of approval. You can just move faster and increase the economic activity in that way. That's what I had to share with you on the work that we're doing, and hopefully this will seed interesting conversation on the panel. I thank you so much.
Israel, those were some really practical use cases, and for those who want to chat more and understand Irembo's journey, Israel will be around, so please make sure you use this opportunity to catch him. I'm delighted now that Honorable Minister Joyce Nabaso Sebagwabo has joined us for our keynote now. And let me just give her a brief introduction. Honorable Minister of State for Information Communication Technology and National Guidance in Uganda. Her extensive political career includes roles such as the National Chairperson of the Forum for Democratic Change and two-term tenure as the Mayor of Rubaga Division of Kampala. She's also held ministerial positions within the Buganda government, focusing on women's affairs, community work, mobilization since the early 1990s. In June 21, she was sworn in as the Minister of State for ICT and National Guidance. Her efforts include promoting technology-driven solutions to address some of the deep societal challenges and enhance service delivery. Honorable Minister has also played an active role in initiatives aimed at improving gender equality and financial inclusion through digital platforms. She has been recognized for her service with the Golden Jubilee Medal Award by President Museveni, and her acknowledgements and contributions continue till date. It's my pleasure to invite the Minister to say a few words and share her experience. Please give us a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Mr. Colonel Walia, for that introduction. Esteemed colleagues and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. Greetings from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and the people of Uganda. First and foremost, I would like to extend my appreciation to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, for hosting us, as well as the Minister of Information and Communication, Technology and Innovation, thank you, in the Cabinet of Rwanda, Honorable Paula Ingabire, for inviting me to this great event. It is an honor to stand before you today to discuss a topic that is not only timely, but also critical to the future of our societies: the role of government policies in the development of artificial intelligence. As we cross through this transformation era, we must recognize that AI has the potential to transform industries, enhance productivity, and improve the quality of lives for millions. However, with great power comes great responsibility. It is important that we craft policies that not only foster innovation, but also ensure social equity and inclusion. AI technologies are reshaping our world in profound ways. From healthcare to education, transportation and finance, AI is driving efficiency and unlocking new possibilities. The potential benefits are massive. From improved research in medicine, smart urban planning to enhance accessibility for individuals with disabilities, to name just a few. However, as we embrace these developments, we must also confront the challenges they present. Issues such as job displacement and privacy concerns are real and pressing. It is here that the role of government becomes important. Government must establish a clear and supportive regulatory framework that encourages innovation while safeguarding public interests. This includes investing in research and development, providing grants and incentives for AI startups, and encouraging public-private partnerships. By creating an environment where innovation can prosper, we can ensure that our nations remain at the forefront of AI developments. Secondly, as we develop AI technologies, ethical consideration should be a priority. Governments should work together with industry leaders, community leaders, and civil society to establish guidelines that promote transparency, accountability, and fairness in AI systems. This includes addressing issues of bias and ensuring that AI systems are designed to serve all sections of society, mainly sidelined communities. Ensuring workforce transition and education, the rise of AI will certainly lead to changes in the job market. Government must take practical steps to prepare the workforce for this transition. This is investing in education and training programs that equip individuals with the skills needed for the jobs of the future. Reskilling programs will be essential to ensure that no one is left behind in this technological revolution. AI has the potential to worsen its existing inequalities if not managed properly. Governments must ensure that the benefits of AI are accessible to all, regardless of socioeconomic status and background. This can be achieved through policies that promote digital literacy, expand internet access, and support community-driven AI initiatives that address local needs. Encouraging regional and international collaborations. AI is a global episode that goes beyond borders. Governments should engage in intergovernmental collaboration to ensure best practices, harmonize regulations, and address global challenges such as climate change and public health. By working together, we can create a more equitable and sustainable future for all. In Uganda, we have developed policies aimed at improving not only AI, but digital transformation as a whole. the national backbone infrastructure critical for the success of AI and digital transformation will stand at 70% coverage by 2026. We are also doing an AI strategy which is aligned with our 5-year digital transformation roadmap that emphasizes digital infrastructure, cybersecurity, and data privacy, digital skilling, innovation, and entrepreneurship. In practice, AI is being applied in sectors like health to improve the detection of diseases, support farmers to predict weather, and manage crop diseases in the agricultural sector. We have also improved local language translation models. In conclusion, the development of AI technologies presents both wonderful opportunities and significant challenges. As we stand on the starting point of this new era, it is our collective responsibility as governments, industry leaders, and civil society to ensure that AI serves as a force for good. By crafting well-planned policies that promote innovation, uphold its core values, foster inclusion, and encourage international collaboration, we can use the power of AI to create an equal and better future for all. Let us work together to build a world where technology empowers every individual, strengthens our communities, and drives progress to generations to come. I thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Excellency. Your words have been heard loud and clear about AI not being just an opportunity, but also the risks that come along with AI. Let's move on to the panel discussion now, and I will call upon the panelists to join me on stage in no specific order, starting with Sanjay Jain, who's the Director, Digital Public Infrastructure at the Gates Foundation. Josephine Mukesha, Director, the National ID Program NIDA in Rwanda. Welcome, Josephine. Fatmata, Lovetta, Sesay, UNDP, Resident Representative for Rwanda. Conrad, Director, CMU-Africa. And finally, Snehar, Shah, CEO of IXAfrica Data Centers. Well, thank you all for joining me. And I'm being quite excited about this panel discussion for two reasons. One, the topic, and secondly, we have philanthropy, we have government, we have multilateral, we have academia, and we have private sector. So this is as diverse as it gets.
That was a nice setup.
Let's start the straight away, and maybe I'll start with you, Sanjay. And I want to start with two questions, and maybe you can just help set this discussion up. Number one, why is it so important for us to talk about DPI in the context of Africa's digital transformation journey? And secondly, according to you, how can AI augment DPI? And it'd be great if you can talk about some categories of use cases where AI can actually play a role in augmenting DPI.
Sure. Thanks for that, Kunal. So DPI, as you've seen from around the world, from some of the examples you mentioned as well, makes governments more efficient, it makes them more resilient, they're able to respond to emergencies better, it makes it more inclusive, brings everybody into the formal economy, and so there's many good benefits of this way of building out digital systems. And so DPI ends up being is a way of building systems that achieves all of this. It makes it inclusive. So we have a definition for DPI as well, and that includes systems that are built which have public rails, which allow others to innovate on top of them. It includes data sets, it includes APIs, it includes specifications and standards. And so when you come to, in terms of AI, we try and understand how that intersects with all of this. So a lot of DPI is actually about building better systems, ways like building better plumbing, so you can then make sure that it moves from one part of the ecosystem to the other, people are able to act on it and do things. And much of that is really very simple, straightforward engineering, good practices. And but on top of that, you can now start to build, now you have this data infrastructure, on top of that you can build applications. So that's one classification, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And the second is where within these systems as data moves around, there's opportunities to do things that they couldn't do before. So DPI brings in AI brings in completely new capabilities that can now be used to enhance some of these workflows. So not the actual flow of data, but in terms of the application domain. So we'll take an example. You've got a payment service, which you've got data moving around of payment transactions, and you could put in a small fraud detection engine that makes sure that you're able to reduce fraud. That's one of the back-end examples of where AI becomes very useful. On the other hand, you can think of DPI creating this large data exhaust, which allows you to train AI models on top of it, which can then deliver better services. So that's where DPI supports AI. And third example is where it's a mix of both, where we think in terms of language AI. So we know that around the world, English is used pretty much in an act, but in the rest of the world, it's not as much so. But that takes a lot of people away from getting the benefits of what is out there in the net. And our belief is that with the current state of where AI is, with a small amount of data, we can make sure that all of the AI models understand the local languages, and so then people can access services, all digital services, in their voice, in their language. And that bridges a gap which has eluded many so far. It brings people in that can take the advantage of all the technology developments that are happening around the world. And we think that data sets that allow LLMs to understand all of these languages should be a DPI. So this is infrastructure on which every model out there or every application developer out there can build on top of it to make sure that they can serve everyone. So then that serves a cause of inclusion. Yeah. So I think this is vast range that we have, and you've seen examples. I'll probably in the discussion push up our examples.
So thanks, Sanjay. And thanks for also framing it as we can use AI for DPI, but then also DPI as data sets for localization of AI. And I'll come back to that, back to you and for other panelists also. Josephine, I wanted to come to you. As you've been spearheading Rwanda digital ID journey, what have been your learnings and what kind of impact have you seen so far? And also, if I might add there, have you already started leveraging AI in rolling out digital ID? If you could talk about that.
Thank you. So our journey for the digital identity, we started it in 2007, and in 2015, we started actually integrating with stakeholders to validate identity information, and later on, it has actually, what we were looking at or what we wanted to solve was just to make our job easy instead of validating and replying this ID is valid. And when we started, it was a game changer, both for us but also for the stakeholders, because we got a lot of use cases. ID is used as for seamless KYC, for SIM card registration, for service delivery. I think Israel informed, justice sector, we have a lot of backend systems that for you to be able to benefit from it, you need to be identified, and the identity card was one of the enablers in the education, in the health, insurance, and you name it, for movement, for access to other documents, for example, travel documents, passports, and the likes. But what we've seen when we were implementing the digital identity is when we built systems, we did not anticipate that appetite, if I may say. So we had to play catch up a lot of time. So as we did a feasibility study in 2020, where we're looking at, now that we have a digital identity, but that we are issuing from 16 and above, what are the gaps? And then we found that, yes, we need to scale it to give it to everybody. We need to have a multimodal biometric. And we actually need to use also some of the data that are used for only one purpose, to use it even for other purposes. That's one of the use cases, the biometric, because we used it only for the duplication, but now we are planning to use it even for authentication, which will even open up to more use cases down the line for authentication and online services. I think we all saw how with COVID, over-the-counter service delivery is taking a back step, and we need to really move fast into the online service delivery. Coming back to your question, where we are seeing AI, we are looking at it mostly for fraud detection and also for personalized service to citizens, because not all of us have the same digital literacy, but through AI, we believe that it will allow citizens to learn how to better use their data and to, for example, today with our law on personal data protection, we have all the 10 of ticking all the boxes for any service that we are applying for, but not all those data sets are needed. So we believe that AI will also be a tool that will help in the education to also help filter what data sets are needed for each type of services. So we are looking at it from a lot of perspectives, mostly education, also to help us, because through the FAQs and the questions and the frictions that we are seeing through the platforms, it will help also to make a system more robust and Now, when we are collecting massive biometrics, we also want to use AI. Mostly today, our pre-enrollment system is using AI to detect the quality of the photos. Down the line, if we use biometric for authentication, we need to have very good quality at collection. I think those are some of the use cases we're looking at.
No, thank you. That's really interesting. You're using AI to enhance the services, but also to analyze the data that you're collecting to sort of improve the DPI itself. And I wanted to bring in Conrad over here because Josephine touched upon cyber security, cyber fraud, and as we're digitizing, the amount of fraud in the system is also sort of increasing quite a lot. That's something that you've spoken about quite a lot. Can you talk a little bit about how AI leverage to improve cybersecurity within DPI systems? And in general, I would also love to know your view about how does academia actually come into the picture over here and the role academia can play.
Thank you very much for the questions. And I'd like to start off by thanking the Gates Foundation for investing in CMU-Africa to set up the first ever digital public infrastructure lab and education initiative on the continent. And so, yeah. And I'd also like to acknowledge my colleagues, Professor Hassan and Julia, who are spearheading the research and education mission, and they are in the audience. And so why academia? Academia provides a neutral platform from which to evaluate the robustness of these digital public infrastructure tools. You mentioned earlier vendor lock-in, and this is where we're hopelessly dependent on one vendor out of ease of use or multiple years of contracts. But if we don't educate the talent for DPIs to the level where they can understand and contribute to these code bases, then we risk a different type of lock-in, which is the intellectual lock-in. And so at CMU-Africa, we're trying to educate students to the level of technical depth where if there's a crisis anywhere in the world of a government or an organization using a DPI, that they could turn to the talent that's been developed here on the continent to troubleshoot. They can turn to the technical talent that's developed here on the continent to contribute to the innovations in this DPI ecosystem, so that Africa moves beyond just being consumers of technology, but also contributors and creators. To your second point of AI, there are many different opportunities for AI to help in cybersecurity. Our teams are working on quite a few different projects from SMISSION. If you can think of someone in a rural community who this is their first time having access to digital platforms, we want to prevent scenarios where malicious attackers start to exploit their vulnerabilities of lack of understanding of the technology. So how can AI be used as a filter to help prevent spam and other types of phishing attacks? So those are just some examples of how AI could be leveraged in cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Conrad. Fatmata, I wanted to come to you just to help us understand the role that UNDP has been playing in Rwanda in the entire digitization, PI, and the AI space. And if there's anything you'd like to add in terms of the use cases that we've already heard about.
Yes. Thank you so much, Walia, for so ably managing this discussion. Thank you very much. I also want to use this opportunity to thank the organizers, the Ministry of ICT, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, also for organizing this conference, which we think is very important. Very proud to know that UNDP is one of the sponsors of the conference, noting very well the importance of the discussion for the continent as a whole. And I want to commend my colleague resident representatives from South Africa, Uganda, as well as Central African Republic and colleagues from other country offices who are here. I was going to start by trying to demystify AI DPI, but Jain, you did a very good job at that. And I think the bottom line is we are talking about systems, processes that bring services to us at our doorstep in an easier way and in a seamless manner. A bit more like the whole train station in Europe, and you see the way the trains move almost as if they're so seamless. And I actually want to use a personal experience in contextualizing that in Rwanda just before I get to how UNDP does it. So here was I, less than 1 year ago, arrived in Rwanda, and by the time you know it, I have foreigner's digital ID. In less than a day, another day, I was connected to Irembo. I've worked in many countries in Africa, by the way. Irembo, I get to understand, is gateway. It means gateway. It's practical. It's real. Irembo means gateway in my little Kinyarwanda, Fungura Irembo, that I've gotten to learn very recently. So I felt already connected in a society in few days, and I was feeling like I'm a local. I could get services online, I could pay, I could make applications. Most importantly, I can get information on government online, all from my mobile phone. Here was I, from another African country, having worked in more than dozens of Africans. I'm here in a week or two, I'm feeling like a Rwandan. That is the importance of digital public infrastructure and digital public goods, and I think nothing else can understate that.
That's very well put, thank you.
In practical. So how then do we come in as UNDP when we see this? So I was pointing to the fact that when you have an enabling environment, a government committed to providing the infrastructure, it makes it a lot easier for the UN to partner with such government to actually take this to scale and to do what? To be sure that everybody's included. If I, a foreigner, can be that easily included, I can imagine people in rural areas how easy it is. So when we support, currently we are supporting the establishment of the AI Authority together with the Ministry of ICT, and we've just started that particular work. But there was a Digital Public Goods Alliance that UNDP was leading. We actually connected the government of Rwanda to this, and Rwanda was one of the players on bringing digital public goods to the country. We've also embarked on, and through this partnership, we had a digitalization strategy that we got many more people to understand. We, in fact, did training on digitalization on a number of cooperatives, about 250 cooperatives in rural areas, not only training them, but also providing smartphones. So we do not only say it, we actually see it in practice. And through this, we've actually seen how inclusion, which is a critical element of digital public good, whether you have the infrastructure, it matters a lot who actually is accessing this. So we've worked on these digital IDs for some of the beneficiaries we work with, and we're really beginning to see progress in that area. So citizens need to feel connected, citizens need to be involved, and of course, we have to fashion the infrastructure so that everybody within the boundaries will access it. Allow me to conclude with UNDP's pioneer Timbuktu initiative that you might have heard about previously in the other session, wherein we are mobilizing over 100,000 innovators on the continent, trying to get a capital of $1 billion to be sure that the youth that we talk about that we want to target, we're actually targeting them. And we're doing so by establishing University Innovations Pod, they call them Unipod. We have one here at the University of Rwanda, very welcome for anyone who is spending a day tomorrow to actually come and see the product that these young innovators are bringing and how they're integrating AI. And we have these in 13 countries in Africa. The hope is to have them in all 54 countries, Unipods. They become a pipeline of bringing startups using AI to get into 10 thematic hubs. We have the Health Tech Hub here in Rwanda. We are in innovators that have great ideas around health services, health delivery, can actually come to the health center, the health tech here in Rwanda, very close to the Ministry of ICT. Is the second place we're also inviting you to come and see. And we've already seen innovators. When we did a call last year, just in August, the president of Rwanda actually launched the Timbuktu initiative. We have the headquarters here. We received 957 applications from across 30 countries in Africa of innovators and startups. And we've just taken a little bit of a drop of them, 40 of them that we're doing incubation, acceleration, and moving this. Some of the brilliant ideas coming from there is a young lady here in Rwanda who is using scraps from laptops and actually making prosthetics out of that. We've seen telemedicine and how much they're connecting medical doctors to patients without actually having to make appointments. So Timbuktu initiative is really almost, we feel like a breeding grounds, not only for Rwanda, but for the continent as a whole. And this is why I have to keep saying, we are in Rwanda. One of the things you learn about Rwanda, it's a small country. But what I think I love so much, I'm 11 months in my assignment here, is a country of big dreams. Do not be limited by your size, because your brain is not limited by confined to a geographical location. Think big and act bigger than you can. And I think that is really why Rwanda is hosting a conference on AI today, because it's not about the conference for Rwanda, but Rwanda is for Africa, and actually it's brought Africa together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So it's clear that there is, the use cases are hopefully clear to the audience, and there is a lot of potential where AI and DPI can come together. To move the discussion forward, I just wanted to talk about what needs to happen now to make this a reality. How can we push AI forward to enable DPI? And Snehar, I wanted to bring you in over here because you can probably allow us to look under the hood a little bit. And I want you to talk about the work that your organization does in the context of the importance of infrastructure and how sort of you are going about it, right? We've been hearing a lot of very interesting announcements around data centers in Africa, purchasing of GPUs, etc. How relevant is all of that in pushing AI? And tell us a little bit about your own work.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kunal. So I think what Sanjay was mentioning, and I think the analogy was very good, that the DPI is the plumbing behind making AI happen, and that's exactly what we do at IXAfrica. So we are currently the largest data center in East and Central Africa. We just went last year, and we're building a 22.5 megawatt facility, of which the first phase is currently live, and we are AI ready. As you might know, cloud computing and AI, it's all about high compute and power. And we are able to provide the power for those high-density GPUs, and we've done tests. So, typical servers today, they take something like 3 to 5 kilowatts per rack. In our case, we can go as high as 50 kilowatts per rack, which is what is the power required for the GPUs. So we in private sector, we've taken the leap of faith. We have invested and we put this infrastructure in place, and that would not be possible if the ecosystem was not there. So number one is the policy. And it's just amazing to see our East African governments thinking ahead and leading the pack as far as Africa is concerned. So in Kenya, we're benefiting from that, and we have examples that has happened in the past. For example, mobile money was invented in Kenya because of favorable regulation. The second is the availability of abundant power. And in a place like Kenya, we're very lucky to have that. And I think not many people outside our country or our continent know this, but Kenya is the 6th largest producer of geothermal energy after Scandinavia and Iceland. So in the Rift Valley, we have lots of that power available. So we're able to tap that and also very cost effectively as well. And that's why we see the off-takers coming. So we've seen the likes of Oracle, Microsoft announce their big deployments in our country, and then they would typically use our infrastructure. But this infrastructure would be waste if there are not use cases or it's not used. And the other part of the ecosystem that we're blessed with is, and so is the rest of East Africa, is the young, smart talent as well. And we're seeing more and more our region becoming a BPO destination. So here we are. Of course, in Africa we're lucky to have the natural resources, agriculture, now power, but we're able to now export that abundant power when companies like Microsoft come in and they're doing their AI compute not only for the continent but for the global needs, but then also to leverage our workforce where we're able to export that and be competitive, because we've seen countries like in Southeast Asia with the salary inflation, now more and more Africa is becoming quite important. So we are the first movers in this space, and it's good to also see other players announce the investment in GPUs, etc. So this is just the beginning, and we're very excited with the favorable policy and also the use cases to really leverage our plumbing, if you like.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Snehar. It's interesting that you're talking about not just replicating the way data centers are built in other countries, but innovating to the Africa context in terms of being, if I can use the word, frugal almost in developing the data centers. And so that's on the infrastructure side, and you've shown how it is possible to address that challenge. You touched upon two other things, which is the sort of capacity of the policymakers to support you, and secondly, the need for skilling. And I just wanted to throw two questions, one for you, Conrad. The need for skilling, and specifically if you could talk a little bit about how the AfriTech initiative is actually playing a role there. And then I want to come to you, Josephine, after that. If you can talk a little bit about the need to skill policymakers and your experience there with the rollout of the ID program. And I do want to wrap this discussion up in 5 minutes and have some engagement with the audience. So if you could just keep your answers to 1 or 2 minutes.
So I'll start with CMU-Africa, who has students from over 20 African countries who are being educated at the campus. But even with the capabilities of CMU-Africa, that is not enough, which was what motivated AfriTech. So AfriTech is a Pan-African network in support of, by the MasterCard Foundation, to build out a network of universities to cover over 250,000 students. And so now this becomes a force multiplier for the skilling and talent need to work at the data centers or innovate for AI models. And so right now the network includes CMU-Africa, University of Rwanda, Al-Akwan University in Morocco, American University in Cairo, University of Nairobi, WITS in South Africa, and we have University of Lagos in Nigeria, and our most recent addition, soon to be announced in Angola. When all said and done, this would be 10 universities across the continent who are working in collaboration, sharing knowledge and best practices to elevate the technical capacity of on the continent so that we can meet the needs of the data centers and the AI revolution that's to come.
Thank you so much. Josephine, if you don't mind talking about policymakers and how policymakers' capacity also needs to be built at the same time.
Yes, thank you. So I think for us here in Rwanda, the government of Rwanda provides multiple channels for upscaling. We have on-the-job training where different government entities benefit from available courses and trainings. But we also have in the contracts that we sign with solution providers, we put in 3 things. The first one is to have a technical capacity and the experts. So we provide a shadowing as we start the implementation. We have internal teams that work directly with the solution provider as we start the journey, so that at the end, when there's a handover, we already have internal capacity within the organization. The other one is to ensure that we have guaranteed local support. So every time, especially if it's a solution provider from abroad, from far, to encourage them to have a support company that work with them so that we ensure that there's continuity when the engineers are not on the ground. The other one where we ensure in the contract is the knowledge transfer, that most of the time people talk about sharing the source code and everything, but if you don't understand it, it's yeah. So we believe that it's better to learn with them, and there are layers in the contract that we ensure that the first, second, third layer will be done locally, and then the fourth layer probably still continue that level with the provider. The other one is the upskilling program. The government of Rwanda encourages very much. We have a lot of bursaries, and we go for upscaling. I'm one of them. I went for my master's at Carnegie Mellon. So we have a lot of government employees that benefit from these opportunities that come in Rwanda, ALU being another one. You go for your master's, and then you go back and you continue in your job. So those are the strategies that we believe will help us stay on course and also look forward.
No, thank you so much. Fatmata, I wanted to just take this forward because this is not just a country-wide problem to solve, right? It's a continent-wide problem to solve. You're currently in Rwanda, but you've actually worked across the continent. So can you speak a little bit about how can this be an Africa-wide approach in terms of solving these problems and propagating AI?
Thank you so much. And I think I'll come back to the Timbuktu initiative that I mentioned, which is an Africa-wide initiative that UNDP is implementing. And I just started earlier on telling you about the uniports being in 54 countries, but also having 10 thematic hubs where you have the climate change hub in Kenya, the health tech hub here in Rwanda, mine tech in Zambia, agri-tech in Ghana, manufacture tech in Ethiopia, across. There are 10 of them. So already through that initiative, when we say we're scaling up work around AI across Africa, we already have that network created across the continent. But let me use the opportunity to also talk about safeguards. In all of this, there could be challenges, and we are not, as UNDP and as our partners, we partner our government, we are not oblivious of what are some of the challenges that can emerge. And one of them is something that the AU Commissioner mentioned yesterday. Let's not make AI be advancing inequality. Ensuring inclusion is a priority safeguard for UNDP, that everybody, no one is actually left behind. But also the rights. As we all participate in this whole digital public good, digital public infrastructure, the rights of people are safeguarded, and they do not become a vehicle through which people's rights will be lost or abused, but security is also paramount. Made the floor one more, just 30 seconds, Walia, to say, let's imagine that AI was a person, a human being. The arteries, the bloodline of that AI is data. And of course, the eyes. So you have your bloodstream, a human being, everything in your system is working, but you need your eyes to be able to see where you're moving to and the efficiency through which you work. Let's see AI as that eye. So meaning, if you have AI, the body's not there, your bloodstream is not functioning, you're actually not going to be able to tap into that system. And I think that's the single most important thing I've learned here. The fundamentals have to exist, whether in the form of infrastructure, in the form of resources that are needed, in the form of digitalization, but those fundamentals must hold before AI can actually thrive.
Thank you so much. Sanjay, I was going to come back to you, but if you don't mind, we'll just take some questions from the audience. I think we should have somebody with a mic there. If there are any questions, if you could just introduce yourself, your organization, and jump straight to the question. We'll take 2 questions at a time. Somebody from there.
Thank you. Wonderful panel. I'm Lance. I am a blockchain engineer. And one thing that I'm particularly concerned about is preventing something like a surveillance state with the use of AI in public infrastructure. So there's a lot of cryptography algorithms coming out, like fully homomorphic encryption, where you can use AI without actually, you can train models on encrypted data. I wanted to ask, for example, Ms. Mukesha, if that is something that is being discussed, or if that's a concern to keep people's data private while also taking advantage of AI.
Okay, let's take one more question. So we can just take a question from you. Can we get the mic here?
Well, thank you very much, and I'm Professor Wasaja from University of Kigali here. I'm just delighted to be part of this discussion. I said I'm Prince, I come from Uganda, but there's some challenges that I'm seeing as we're developing models here. There is this issue that has not really been so out in the discussion, and this is the issue of cultural homogenization. I'm just worried, if we're developing these models, are we going to consider the rich cultural diversity that is in Africa, and so that we can find not just one model, but a collection of so many, data which reflects their individual, the tapestry of cultures around Africa. I just want to hear something that relates to how we can comfortably be ready to live that rich culture existing in our continent.
No, thank you for that question. Josephine, you want to take the first one, and Sanjay, I don't know if you want to take the second one.
Yes, thank you. I think what we are looking at, yes, indeed, is a risk, but we are looking at how to minimize this risk by using tools such as the zero-knowledge proof, where we're going to use, we do not necessarily have to share the real data, but to share the outcome of what that data should be used for. So those are some of the techniques that we are looking at using, so not give all the data, because yes, those are the threats that we are looking at. And we are also looking at, we are using token, for example, where you do not have to give your ID. You can use, you can generate a token that is random, and then you can use it for some transactions. Yeah, so some of the things.
Yeah. My watch says we have 1 more minute, Sanjay. So.
Okay. Great. So Africa has this rich diversity, languages, history. Every region has its own stories, and just a fabulous place in that sense. And as we go towards digitization, there's some degree of homogenization that does happen. But at the same time, we do want to fight that, right? So in that sense, I think the first step is to, in terms of, I think we discussed in the early part, was about the languages piece, to make sure that we are able to bring every African language, actually every language on the entire planet, to be supported by technology, so that people can then sort of converse with it in their language, in their voice, and that they can still take advantage of everything that's out there and yet be who they are. And in this, I think I want to just give a shout out to colleague Howard out here, which just signed this agreement yesterday with the Mastercard Group to collect data in 19 languages across the continent. That will then allow us to start build on the journey, to understand what it takes to take a language and get support for it. And then hopefully once you understand that, we can then find ways to take it to every language in the world, and particularly in the continent.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on that deal. And thank you so much from the panelists to join us for this really enriching discussion. I wish we had more time. Thank you to the Honourable Minister who joined us, as well as Israel for the spotlight as well. Everybody will be around, so if you want to find them for more discussions, I know this was fairly rushed and short, but please do find us for more questions and answers. Thank you, everybody, and have a nice day.